And we found this to be a pioneering deal, quite historic, in that an amount of $8.5 billion was committed to support our transition to clean energy, which as South Africa we had preceded by coming out with a very bold plan where we realized that we've got to embark on this journey. And there are quite a number of lessons that we are learning as we are moving ahead. I'll just maybe share 5. The first one is that a plan like this on the own country's challenges and experiences. It should never be imposed on any country. In our case, we've had to take into account our own experience as a nation and as a country, where we are dealing with challenges such as unemployment and poverty, and also dealing with a history of division in our own country, of racial division and all that. So any plan of this nature that helps the country to transit needs to take into account the circumstances of any country that is going through this type of plan. The second one is we've had to say this should be a just transition. It must take into account the existential situation of various communities, particularly workers who work in fossil fuel establishments. What happens to them when we transit, to their job situations, communities who live in those areas. So all that needs to be taken into account, and any country that embarks on this journey must define what a just transition is going to be and what it is going to look like, so that whatever is done should not leave anyone behind. In fact, we should see a situation where new sectors will be established and people will be taken along. The third one is that we need to be flexible. It needs to be a flexible type of journey. Right now in our own country, we have learned, as we've been traversing this path, that we've got to take into account our current challenges. And our current challenges are born out of the history of our own country, but also they have to deal with our energy shortage right now. 90% of our energy is generated out of fossil fuels. And right now the country is going through a major energy challenge because our energy generation is way below the needs of the country at the moment. So we've said that as we transit, as we implement this JET-P, we need to take into account that, and some of our fossil fuels power stations will need to remain in existence as we are traversing this journey. So it is important that that should be taken into account. The other one, of course, the major one, is the finance part. What we did after making our clear, bold statement, as well as after reaching this JET-P deal, and having been offered $8.5 billion in the form of grants, in the form of concessional loans, and in the form of plain vanilla loans, we found that actually we're going to need much more, up to $98 billion, which is far much more than what has been on offer. So therefore, we need access to funding, and the funding has to be innovative. Funding has to increase on the grant size, and also the concessional loans also need to be considerable. And where we have gone to now is that we have found great understanding from our partners about our situation. Recently, just yesterday, I had the Prime Minister of Denmark and the Netherlands visiting our country at the same time, and they made commitments, being very much alive to all the circumstances that we face. So we are encouraged by that, because all this journey requires partnership, and the partnership must be active. It must be a partnership that takes into account where we are, but it must also be a partnership that is willing to commit to a future that will lead to fair. That's where we are, and the lessons that we are learning are ongoing. Almost every day we learn lessons. What we've had to do is also to set up a commission that brings everyone, every important stakeholder in the country together. So I've set up a Presidential Climate Change Commission, which brings scientists, academics, trade unions, government people, both at local government level, provincial and at national level. So all of us participate in this type of debate, and it's becoming a very rich debate, because nearly everyone participates. It's not just government imposing its own will and wishes on our people. So everybody sees in a very transparent way what we are seeking to achieve. And so that in the end ensures that no one is left behind, and we walk this journey together. So that's the lessons that we can put out for everyone to hear.